Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to break down absolutely everything you need to know for Unit 2 of AP World History, the networks of exchange.
Now, this unit makes up about 8 to 10% of your final AP exam score. That might not sound like a ton, but trust me, these are crucial points you can definitely get. So let's lock them in together.
We're zeroing in on the years between 1200 and 1450. And the big story of this era? It's all about connection. It's like the threads linking Africa, Europe, and Asia were being pulled tighter and tighter, creating a world that was way more interconnected than ever before.
So here's our game plan. We're going to journey along the major trade networks, see how the Mongols completely changed the game, dig into the consequences, both good and bad, of all this new connectivity, and then wrap it all up with the big picture.
Okay, let's kick things off with our first stop, the legendary Silk Roads. Now, first things first, and this is super important, it wasn't a road. It was this massive, sprawling web of routes, kind of like an ancient highway system, moving mostly high-end luxury goods across the entire Eurasian continent. So, a key piece of tech that totally supercharged this trade was the caravanserai. You can think of them like fortified motels along the highway, but honestly, they were so much more than just a place to crash for the night.
For starters, they were basically safe zones protecting merchants and their precious cargo from bandits. But even cooler, they became these incredible cultural melting pots. Imagine merchants from all over the world hanging out, sharing stories, ideas, and technologies. Then, you combine that with better camel saddles that let each animal carry way more stuff, and boom, trade just becomes way more efficient and profitable. And it wasn't just physical stuff that was changing. Financial technology was evolving too. Think about it. Instead of dragging heavy chests of coins across a continent, a merchant could use flying money, China's early version of paper money, or a bill of exchange, which was kind of like a medieval IOU or a check. This made business so much safer and easier, and it led to the rise of the first real banking houses. So what's the result of all this new tech and money flowing around? You get the rise of these incredible, powerful trading cities. Places like Kashgar and Samarkand popped up at critical crossroads and became these vibrant, wealthy hubs where goods, ideas, and religions from all over the world mixed and mingled. All right, now let's talk about a group that became the unexpected supercharger of these networks, the Mongols. After their, well, brutal conquests, they ended up creating the largest contiguous land empire in all of history. And that, kind of surprisingly, had a massive impact on trade. This period is known as the Pax Mongolica, or the Mongol Peace, and it was a game changer because, for the first time, this huge stretch of the Silk Roads was under one rule. That meant travel was safer, there were fewer tolls to pay, and way fewer bandits. Trade just absolutely exploded. And get this, they created the Yam system. Seriously, think of it like an ancient Pony Express, but stretching across all of Asia. It was this network of relay stations with fresh horses and supplies that let messengers and merchants travel at incredible speeds. It was unbelievably efficient and helped hold their massive empire together. Now, this is one of the most fascinating parts. The Mongols didn't just let cultural exchange happen by accident. In many cases, they engineered it. They would literally pick up skilled artisans and engineers from one conquered land and move them to another part of the empire where their skills were needed. This created this incredible forced cross-pollination of ideas, spreading everything from medicine to math to writing systems. All right, let's leave the dusty trails of the Silk Road and set sail on the bustling sea lanes of the Indian Ocean. This was a completely different kind of network, connecting East Africa, the Middle East, India, and Southeast Asia in a massive web of maritime trade. And the big tech breakthrough here was the Leyte sail. This triangular sail was an absolute game changer. Why? Because it allowed ships to tack and sail against the wind, which gave sailors way more freedom and made sea travel so much more reliable. And it wasn't just the sail. You combine that with innovations like the magnetic compass for direction and the astrolabe for navigation, plus bigger, better ships like the massive Chinese junks. But the real secret sauce? Understanding the monsoon winds. These predictable, seasonal winds basically turned the Indian Ocean into a giant, natural clockwork highway. Okay, so this is a huge difference you have to remember for the exam. The Silk Roads? Mostly small, lightweight, super expensive luxury goods. You can't really haul timber on a camel. But on the ocean, you can move heavy stuff, bulk goods.
So now you're seeing not just spices and gems, but everyday things like rice, sugar, and lumber being traded in massive quantities. And all this wealth flowing across the seas led to the rise of powerful new states. Places like the Sultanate of Malacca or the Swahili city-states on the African coast, they basically set up shop at these key maritime choke points and got fabulously rich just by taxing all the ships that passed through. Okay, for our last major network, we're heading into the desert, the trans-Saharan routes. Now, it's easy to think of the Sahara as just this giant barrier, right? But you should really think of it as a sandy sea, an ocean of sand that was navigated by huge camel caravans. And the perfect case study here is the Empire of Mali. They mastered camel travel with new saddle technology, and they used it to control the trade of two incredibly valuable goods, gold from West Africa and salt from the desert to the north. This made them unbelievably wealthy. I mean, the story of their emperor Mansa Musa making the pilgrimage to Mecca is legendary. He gave away so much gold along the way that he literally crashed the economies of the cities he visited. That's how rich they were. So, we've got all these networks buzzing with people, goods, and ideas crisscrossing the hemisphere. What happens when the world gets this connected, this fast? What are the consequences? So, was all this connection a good thing? Well, the big takeaway here, the thing you really need to understand, is that it was a total double-edged sword. It brought amazing advances and cultural flourishing, but it also brought absolute world-changing catastrophe. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. On the blessings side, you get new crops like champa rice spreading, which helps populations boom. You get the diffusion of major religions like Islam and Buddhism, and technologies like gunpowder. But on the curses side, there's one big, terrifying one: the Black Death. The very same trade routes that carried silk and spices also carried fleas carrying the bubonic plague. The disease traveled right alongside the merchants and their goods, eventually wiping out maybe a third, or in some places like Europe, even half of the entire population. It was a horrifying preview of the dark side of globalization. Okay, let's zoom out and pull all of this together. These are the big ideas, the key takeaways that you'll absolutely want to have locked in for your exam. All right, screenshot this, write it down, do whatever you need to do. This is your ultimate cheat sheet for Unit 2. It breaks down each network by its key technology, its key goods, and a major state that was involved. Knowing this table is going to help you so much. So, if you remember nothing else, remember these big themes. 1. States figured out how to get powerful by controlling and taxing trade. 2. Technology, like new sails and saddles, was the engine that drove all this growth. 3. It wasn't just goods moving, it was culture, religions, ideas, science. And finally, number 4, all this connection had huge, real-world consequences, both amazing and devastating, for people and the planet. You know, this whole era is a powerful reminder of how connection reshapes the world, for better and for worse. Back then, ideas and diseases moved at the speed of a camel. Today, they move at the speed of light. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What are the blessings and what are the curses that come with the instant global connectivity that we all live with right now?